Ethiopia stretched forth her hands and gave us the Redeemer of all man, defender of the faith, and Ethiopian is the captain, the chief field
welcome.
Bowing at his feet, 72 nation, Rasmakonen,
the long night.
Lion.
I'm gonna get started here in just a few minutes, kind of a improv live show to celebrate the longest night, shortest day of the year, and got some things to talk about. We're going to dive into streetwise alchemy events, really cool topics, so stick around in a few minutes.
King of all kings, touchdown in Kingston. Would you believe so said, so done, Buster man blind, couldn't see when the king come. Some of them deaf and see some of them dumb when they rise up against a Selassie kingdom. You politician with your evil agenda, anyhow you just remember I
my cats, ladies and gentlemen, turn this down a little bit. Coming up to the end of 2025, this year coming up is, hold on, I got the cats going crazy. Come on guys. Got a new rescue if you guys want to be introduced. This is Mochi. She's our new rescue, young little female, very high active. Well, yeah, it's good to do a improv 2 live show. Thank you for joining. Appreciate it. If I'm coming in clear, drop something in the chat. I would appreciate that. And we can get started. So we're coming to the end of the year. That means, the winter solstice is here. Well, in a few hours, right? Pacific time is where I'm located, and it'll be officially about 5:10 in the morning, which is the shortest day and the longest night of the year. This is when the sun is at its lowest point. And then tomorrow, right, it will start to make its journey to rebirth, to gain momentum and more power, energetically speaking, and on its way to spring, to life. Right. So this is an event to kind of rejoice, and we're halfway through the winter, and it's also a great reflection time period. Right. This is what the winter's all about. It's all about internal introspection, reflection, and working in those aspects, not only mentally but emotionally. And we're coming on the year of the horse. And what does that mean? We're going to get into some of those topics. I am Will Keller. My website is willkeller.com. So I guess I'll do a little preface on what I do and what my work is. I've had a lot of new people come to my website, subscribe to my channels. I'm grateful for that. So welcome to the newcomers. My motto is simplify the profound. So I focus on topics of spirituality, really diving into the root, the causal factors of what is going on in the world. Of course, that's on the individuated spectrum, the individual, which is always in tandem with the collective itself. So we need to understand the deep philosophical, the moral questions of why the world, the human condition, is in the state that it is. So I touch on a lot of psychology. And, I consider myself a metaphysician, because the laws of nature absolutely are in effect, immutable and binding to us all. So we can understand the cause through understanding the symptoms, and vice versa. Let me check this chat. I hope I'm coming in clear. Crip Rick, what's up, brother? Let me know if you guys, if I'm coming in clear. Live on X, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all my YouTube channels. And again, and live on my website, so willkeller.com. Tim, how's it going? Feliz Navidad. Yes, absolutely. Season blessings. I was actually out and about today doing a little bit of shopping for Yule, and it's just so many people out there. The materialism is just it's a feeding frenzy, and it can be a lot for me. It's kind of it's cringy and a little disgusting seeing so many people just ensconced in the materialistic aspect of just so much stuff to purchase. My family, we get together. This is a great time to be together and share time, quality time, and we end up doing it's like a secret Santa style. So you're only buying one gift for one member of the family, and we like to have a good time. So many blessings to you and yours and all your family. And we're coming up on the new year. The quick and the dead are out there. True that. Absolutely. So before we dive into the nitty gritty, because once I get going, we're gonna pedal to the metal. I do want to make a couple announcements. Again, I am going to be speaking at the People's Reset in Morelia, Mexico, talking about morality in Morelia. I love it. Little green language there. You can go to the greaterreset.org. And this is a conference, 5 days, all about solutions. There's permaculture, agorism, mind body connection. There's workshops. There's all kinds of high caliber speakers and presenters. And of course, I'm grateful that I will be speaking about natural law. And I'm really excited for that because I think that's uh, a subset of people that really are taking the initiative to get involved, and they're solution orientated. And what does that mean? Everybody has their own take, and this is the solution, etc., etc. Well, my presentation talking about natural law, which is the fundamental governing dynamics of manifestation of reality. Of course, if we want to achieve freedom, if we want to build parallel networks and parallel systems and communities, what comes first? What comes first when you build anything, right? The mind, the heart, the care has to be there, the willpower, but also the knowledge, the structure, the blueprint of what that healthy community, those healthy systems, how to create change in this condition of duress, coercion, and slavery, right? We need that blueprint. And as it happens, nature, the supreme authority, creation, has inherently laid out a blueprint for human beings to use logic, reason, intuition, and care, and to align our thoughts, emotions, and actions with this rhythm of life, with this flow of consciousness and energy, higher order, right? To achieve a system of symbiosis within ourselves, but also within the relationships that we have with everything, right? This experience, this reality is relationship based. Your relation to yourself, to truth, first principles, to your neighbor, to your community, right? To the solution of human slavery. So everything it's an interactive experience. We are in the shared reality, and we're co-creating, right? We're influencing everything in this experience. So then the question starts to, leave the finger pointing at, oh, it's these guys, these social engineers, the people at the top, the people at the top. And it starts coming back into ourselves, into the mirror. Well, what do I have a correct diagnosis of the problems? And then what am I going to do? Right? And this year coming up, 2026, the year of the horse, We're going to get more into that. It is all about drive, motion, fire. And we're gonna kind of break that down. What does that mean? What can we do in a practical approach to amplify our own actions and rituals that we do? So the People's Reset. I'm really excited. This is going to be January 28th through February 1st. In Morelia, Mexico. I know that can be a big trip for people, but absolutely worth it. This is the 5th People's Reset, I believe, and it's hosted by Derek Bros of the Conscious Resistance, and just some really fantastic organizers. And it's going to be in depth, and the value is incredible. And I've really been wanting to go to this event for a while, but now I have a great reason to go, to hit the stage in front of some beautiful souls and express my offering, right? And communicate with like-minded individuals. So let me know where you guys tuning in from. How are you doing in this, as we come to the closing of this Gregorian calendar year, which I don't really consider this from a naturalistic lens and perception. This wouldn't be the end of the year, right? The end of the year would be, you could call this the last segment, right? But once spring hits, that is a new year, right? Because now we're back to life. Winter itself is the breaking down. It's the death cycle of nature. And even within death comes life, rejuvenation. This is the separatio in alchemy, right? All is one, but also separation exists. And it's actually very important for the internal ecology of an individual, but also the biosphere, the ecosystem as well. I mean, you can easily observe nature being the ultimate mentor, and you can learn vast amount of knowledge and wisdom. Alchemy itself, the process of the alchemical procedures and the formula, it is ingrained in the very existence of human beings. So you could, collapse society or take away, the internet, all information, and human beings just through the base faculty of observation and contemplation, with the capacity of what we have inherently as human beings, which is logic, reason, and intuition, right? We can come to learn the alchemical process through osmosis. So, separation, that separatio is there. And this is what winter is all about. Separating yourself from all the events and all the noise that is occurring in society, right? It's no surprise there. I mean, the events are just every week there's a new event. And sure, those are all separate discussions: false flags, psychological operations, horrific events, etc. And there have been, right? But acknowledging and recognizing those events, but also don't forget what this time period, what this energy is. It is that internal reflection itself, right? The long night. Okay. Good to see people in here. All right. The public sucks. George Carlin. Love George Carlin. Hello, Lisa. Thanks for joining in Northern California. Oh, whereabouts? If you don't mind me asking, I am in Northern California. Well, the Bay Area, not true North Cali. Aaron, what's up, brother? Newport Mushroom. That's my buddy Aaron, which I'm actually drinking his mushroom coffee right now. So cheers to you. He gifted me some of his one of his blends. It's I think it's chaga, it's lion's mane. I love it. Excellent. Amanda, good seeing you. Jane, Jasmine, hello. Nature's Rhythm, Madeline, Maddie, what's up? Excellent. Great. We got some people in here. Very good. So yeah, that was my main like housekeeping. The People's Reset is coming up. If you can make it, I would love to see you in person, live in the flesh, connect, collaborate. In-person events are just, they're in their own caliber, right? Because you could see someone, you could hug them, you could touch them eye to eye. That energy exchange is fantastic. And there's nothing like it. Of course, we have the silver lining of the technoslogi, the technology where I can communicate to people all around the world via the Ethernet. So that's kind of my main mode of communicating with the public, and it's actually one of the most potent modalities for me to get information out, to get a message out to numerous people all around the world. So that's fantastic. And then, because this is actually perfect introduction to the year of the horse, right? We are doing the 5th annual Freedom Under Natural Law Conference. It is titled Ignite Hearts and Minds. This is the event that will spark truth, love, and freedom, February 21st and 22nd, 2026. My dog Pocket's obviously excited for that. Go to freedomundernaturallaw.com to see more. This is a 2-day online virtual conference, completely free. We're going to stream it to as many platforms as possible. I think we have 17 content creators, fantastic, that kind of come from a different, corner of knowledge and wisdom that are going to express a variety of topics: spirituality, occultism, esoteric history, health and wellness, and all under that umbrella of freedom is through the understanding and the alignment of natural law. That's the overarching umbrella. So check that out, freedomundernaturallaw.com. You don't want to miss that. Now, that conference is called Ignite. So there is obviously a fire element to it. The whole core purpose of the Funnel Conference with my co-creators was to inspire and spark inspiration and spark action from individuals, right? We have, some people that are very seasoned, that have done a lot of presentations, that are well known, that have came and, they've done presentations and talks. And then we like to bring on people that have never gave a presentation before. You could call, they're green. This would be their first kind of event. We love doing that because when people see that somebody activated their willpower and their care and said, you know what, fuck it, I'm going to put myself out there. I'm going to express and communicate and do a video, do a presentation, do a speech to the public in front of hundreds of people. That speaks volumes, because anybody can do this work at a certain degree. We all have a tool in our pocket. We have a computer that allows us to connect to the internet, and we can use the greatest tool of a human being, and that is the voice. Right now, in this current state, we are able to communicate with the voice to reach minds via education. Is how we are going to change the world, like really change it, right? Not temporary change where, it's all crypto, it's all financial, or we just need to, exit and build and do not disturb. Those are aspects of the actual solution, but ultimately understanding why we are in the situation that we are in and then course correcting it from there, right? Starts from the state of mind. So why we have these tool sets, using the voice is a powerful tool, and more people need to do this work. So the funnel conference is all about inspiration. Inspiration itself means to inflame, inspire, to take in, to breathe. The inflame, from the etymology, right, it's talking about mentation. It's talking about the mind, the mental realm, to spark an idea. So, and now we move from 2025, which was the year of the snake, right? The snake is, has some profound spiritual symbolism, but the snake sheds, and it's time for humanity as an aggregate, as a soul family, species, to shed its erroneous, dogmatic, immoral beliefs, rigid beliefs that people are holding on to, like the belief in government, the belief that there's a political solution. At this point, it's almost it's a joke. It's occult mockery that people still think there's a political solution to the current human condition. So, shedding that skin. The whole point, or the main factor of higher awareness, taking that next step on the spiral staircase of consciousness, ascending, right? That main factor is death. How I was talking about earlier. Death is profound. Sure. I mean, it's a big category. It's horrible. It can be unfortunate. It can be a blessing, right? But death itself brings profound implications metaphysically and spiritually, physically, etc., right? So the death that needs to occur is that level of consciousness that is holding one back. The belief in government, the belief that there is a political solution, that needs to die. That state of mind, that level of awareness for individuals must cease, must die itself. That is shedding the skin, symbolically, metaphorically. So, this past year, there's been a lot of events, right? And if you're new to my channel, you will come to find, or I'm informing you, that I don't focus on events that happen. These events, number one, have already manifested, and there is no change within those events themselves. They have already happened. Sure, you could spend a lot of spiritual currency, a lot of investment, time, and attention into understanding the details, or the intricate workings of an event. But when you come to understand that there are parasitical social engineers that are creating events and initiating certain events to influence your perception, so people can stay fixated on those. And, the big influencers, you can, I mean, whatever you think about them, the Joe Rogans, these huge influencers, they have amplification, right? But their level of awareness, their state of consciousness, is obviously extremely low. But when you have millions and millions of people watching you, that has influence, right? So these events are pitfalls, traps, snares for people to fixate on. But those are all the symptoms of a greater problem. Those are the branches of the tree of evil. Getting down to the root, it is always philosophical, and it is always moral or immoral. So that's the kind of topics that I focus on. And the three staves, is it true? Is it moral? Is it useful? Information has to be practical. It has to be useful. What do you do with it? See, this is another thing that people are super fixated on, is going deeper and deeper and deeper into the rabbit holes. They want to know more and more, the next layer of reality, quantum entanglement, quantum mechanics. They want to go deeper and deeper into the unknown. And as a metaphysician, I like doing that. I like understanding. I like going down those rabbit holes, but in a balanced way. We need to understand that the majority of human beings are not even educated on the basics. They don't even understand. They don't know the difference between right and wrong. If you don't know the difference between right and wrong, then you obviously don't understand rights. And if you don't understand rights, you absolutely 100% cannot defend yourself upon those that want to initiate and violate you or take advantage of your ignorance, right? So there's this level of the elements, the elementary body of information, and that is understanding objective morality and natural law, the laws of nature, the immutable, binding, non-man-made, objective, universal, and eternal dynamics that govern reality, right? So knowing who we are and how we operate, but also the rules of this experience, right? The boundary conditions, the parameters, understanding the dynamics that create change. And that is through the information that we hold within ourselves, and then how we act upon that information. The action, the act ion, preformed energy is what is that last activating notch of manifestation, right? Because it's in the external, it's in the shared reality now. It has an influence into the biosphere, right? The ether itself. That's where the real change happens. So we are in an imbalanced state because the majority of influencers or public educators are focused on the symptoms, not talking about the causal factors or the basics, the fundamentals, right? The first principles. They're just focused on those symptoms, which of course the receivers of, or the watchers, the viewers, are taking in what they are spewing out. They're investing their time and attention, and it has them stuck in a feedback loop where they are completely inactive themselves. And when you have a majority of human beings, the aggregate, that do not understand the fundamentals, they do not understand the basics of morality and natural law, then of course, through their ignorance, they are going to have incorrect mentation, thus immoral actions, incorrect behaviors and immoral actions. Where's the proof? Observe society, and you will see how many people support political dynamics. Doesn't matter what side you're on, left, right, center, libertarian, right? They're supporting some type of political dynamic, or they think it's in some kind of, micro subset of just exposing the pharmaceutical industry. And sure, that's all great and fine and dandy. But again, those are just the tentacles of Chalutu, right? Those are just the branches. We need to understand the root itself. And that is, we as a human family, as a collective, the aggregate, we are generating the current human conditions through what we support and condone, what we act upon in reality. So that's the brass tacks right there, or the gold in the philosopher's stone. Oh, right on, Lisa. North Sacramento. I was in Sacramento yesterday. So I am just about 30, 45 minutes from you. Excellent. Let's see, we got some comments. I don't think the quantum experiment proves what they think it does, but I've never observed it myself. You are absolutely correct. I'm going to do a whole presentation at some point. I got the outline about how the cult of quantum, right, is a huge misdirection. Of course, that is based on the the slit experiment, which again, that's a huge misrepresentation of what they think it is. What they think that conclusion was is completely incorrect, right? I mean, you have to look at quantum itself. Quantum, the word itself, means an amount. An amount of what? Oh, many realities, many universes. So, quantum mechanics, quantum theory is all really based upon that experiment and what light is. And again, I don't want to open this can of worms right now, but I will absolutely do a deep dive. The mainstream description of what light is completely inaccurate. And also, there is some historical facts that people need to understand. There's some people like Albert Einstein, which I say he was the Fauci of his day. He was a puppet put up in the public light by the social engineers when Albert Einstein was a complete plagiarist. Even Nikola Tesla called him out, called him a quack, right? So he took other people's work and used that as, claimed original theories, and the theory of relativity and all that kind of BS. I'm gonna really dissect and expand upon. But Tim, yep, 100%, 100%. The whole quantum category is one huge misdirection to keep people stuck in relativism and solipsism, meaning that we each are creating our own realities. There's an infinite amount of realities, right? And it's the removal of the unified field, which is the ether, the interconnectedness of all life, of everything, that shared reality that we are all experiencing. And therefore, what each of us do adds to the energetic pot to generate the collective effect, or the collective condition of the quality of our experience, currently being slavery and tyranny. So that is complete misdirection. Um, and there's certain aspects, right? They're pulling from metaphysics, but I'll do a presentation on that. That'll be a fun topic in itself. Create harm. Exactly. Exactly. It's that simple, right? The condition that humanity is generating is harm. Harm to others, either directly or what they support and condone, harm to our other relatives, meaning the animal kingdom, the earth itself as a celestial being, alive, right? So this is what the social engineers, this is their whole ideology. It's to play God. It's to play the creator on earth. So they understand natural law is in effect, and they want to rage against that. And what better way to, you know, tell creation to fuck off than to enslave the planet? It's the ultimate blasphemy. So let's move on. Thanks for the comments. Took from the patent office. Yep, that's right. That's right. Sigmund Freud was protecting PDF files too. Yeah, Sigmund Freud, he was a sick motherfucker for sure. Sick motherfucker. And I actually fully agree. Thanks, Elliot. Good seeing you. I fully agree when I saw a clip recently that Candace Owens said talking about Sigmund Freud. And yes, absolutely. I mean, he's modern psychology. The Freudian psychology is, I would say the exoteric psychological realm that, most of the average normie people, that's what they get, but it's intricately woven into the public schooling system, right? And very much centered in true narcissism and gaslighting and victim mentality, 100%. Okay, so let's get into here are the main topics, right? Usually I should do a hook in the beginning. I want to talk about 2026, the year of the horse, right? Which is all about the fire element, freedom, and forward motion, the gallop. I was blessed to be raised on a ranch where my whole childhood into young adulthood, I had horses. Magical, incredible animals. I did a lot of riding when I was young. I did equestrian competitions and stuff for just a few years, but the connection with horses is fantastic. It's one of those animals that we really can be in a symbiotic relationship to work together, right? And I mean, a horse is a powerful animal. So we obviously it was for transportation, for agriculture, etc. They are incredibly smart beings. But the energy of a horse itself is power, willpower, speed, motion, right? Horsepower. And this is very much the year of the horse. So 2026, 100% is not a passive year. Why do I say that? And first, an introduction. Why are we talking about the energetic attributes or characteristics of the year? On the macro calendar, astrological, right? The planet itself is moving through a type of energy alignment in the ether itself, right? On the macro scale, the cosmic map, the cosmic consciousness. These energetic components obviously have an effect. They had subtle, sometimes major um, influence and effect on consciousness, not just human, but animal, plant, mineral, planetary, etc. So when we can understand what these attributes and characteristics are like, we can start to align ourselves, utilize this energy for our greater will, right? When I mean greater will, I'm of course talking about humanity's purpose in the aggregate. The macro purpose of human beings is to end slavery. We have to do that. If we can't free ourselves from servitude, from thraldom, how in the fuck can human evolution progress? It cannot. By law, per natural law, right? If you start a fire in your house, how are you going to remodel and add, an expansion to that as it's burning down and you are throwing oil or gasoline to put out the fire? It doesn't work. That's obviously a crude analogy, right? But there are certain steps that we must accomplish before the human family progresses forward, which is what evolution is. Evolution is just not the propagation of genes. It's not genetically. That's one small factor of it. It is consciousness, right? So understanding that true freedom is our inherent birthright and is the inherent default state of reality, right? It has been usurped, co-opted, and of course, through ignorance, humanity is amplifying, is propagating this condition of slavery, right? So understanding the energetic attributes of the upcoming cycle, the cyclical nature of reality, we can utilize this to activate within our individual lives to be better than yesterday, to be better than 2025 as moral human beings, and also to contribute, to activate and contribute to ending human slavery in some form or fashion. So, this is why understanding the characteristics of the year of the horse, right, is extremely important. Made a little image. There we go. The year of the horse, fire, the stallion. So, let's talk about some of these attributes, right? So, it's not a passive year, it's about moving forward. The horse drives, accelerates. So, the energetic theme, excuse me, the energetic theme is freedom, momentum, independence. The year amplifies whatever direction that we are already facing. Think about this year, like the overarching energetic theme is amplification. So if you are your moral compass, your direction is facing a certain way, it's going to be amplified in this coming year. 2025 very much was a internal passive year, shedding the skin. shit's about to double down in 2026. It's the gallop, it's the charge forward. So it's will power in motion. And what you are focused on, what you truly care about, is going to be amplified. It's going to be that driving force in 2026, right? It's going to be a buildup towards the summer, that summer cycle, full blown in the fire element of summer. So, some of the spiritual lessons that we can contemplate on. Freedom first comes from self-discipline. Order comes from alignment with natural law. We need to have discipline within ourselves first, so our thoughts, emotions, and actions are in alignment. So I have a goal, and I'm focused on that goal, influencing and manifesting my goals towards that greater purpose itself. The misalignment, right? What does that do? That creates friction in oneself. It creates internal confusion. This can manifest in many ways as well on the micro levels, manifest as brain fog, just confusion, or even, depression, feeling like you're not on your path, right? Because the horse, when it runs, it is definitely going a direction, and it is on its path, wherever that may be for the horse. So the horse, spiritually, symbolically, that energy rewards clarity, and the confusion is going to be a hindrance. So understanding our micro goals for full clarity and focus on our macro goal as an individual. My macro goal is to better myself as a public speaker, is to try to inspire others to become public educators, right? So jumping off 2026 with the People's Reset, going to do a big on-stage in-person speech. Boom. Love it. I'm down. Put me on there. I'm ready to go. Activate, utilize, invoke the horse fire element. I'm ready for that. That's a great way for me to start off 2026, right? But there's all these micro goals that I need to hit, right? I need to create a speech, a presentation. I need to have the resources to get me to that destination, right? As a father, I need to, make sure my daughter is taken care of. Where is she going to stay, etc., right? So having clarity in the micro ripples and reverberates to the macro, right? The horse doesn't just appear at its destination. It's every gallop, every step, with strength, with intention, with willpower, with care, that will drive forward motion. Now, another aspect of the fire out, what does fire do, right? It burns. It burns fast. Why is that important? With the right dedication and attention into the correct type of information, false beliefs burn faster. Let me say that again and then expand about that. Beliefs, false beliefs burn faster, meaning they can be eradicated from your worldview faster. That's obviously because it is a belief. It is through incorrect information. It is through deception. And fire itself is truth, an element of truth. The truth hurts. The truth burns, right? And of course, that burn has a lasting effect. Now, of course, investing into the current events, oh, the next event that is going on, I'm going to spend weeks and months finding out the ins and outs of this current event that was, propped up, the next on the conveyor belt of mental traps, right? That is the friction. That is stacking all the debris into your crucible. When you understand correct information, meaning understanding natural law and objective morality and the erroneous belief, like the belief in authority, when you engage in core truth of what is going on, it will burn down that debris faster. It breaks down the walls of the religious thoughts, that which is holding you back, that which is muddying and creating static within your worldview. So this year, 2026, you can see it's going to be a year of burn, of truth. Now, the question is, is there going to be ignition? Is there going to be sparks? I see, educators and people that are going public and talking about the causal factors, natural rights, morality, natural law, why we are in this situation, how we can get out of this situation. That is really getting down to the root of the issue. Those are the true sparks, because one spark can set a blaze. Hopefully in 2026, we see that ignition. Now, another thing, Mochi's saying hi. You can hear her. She's got the sniffles. We rescued her when she was a little kitten out here in the vineyard. So I've been giving her some minerals and supplements and some good food and some love, and she'll be better in no time. But she's a little hellraiser. Now, we talked with the year of the horse, right? We talked a lot about kind of the energetic, the elemental aspects. A horse is very physical as well, right? What can we learn from the horse for 2026? Movement. Movement on the physical level, right? Exercise, moving the body, right? Obviously, the body and the mind being the receiver and the body being the radio itself, right? So if you smash the radio, the receiver's not going to work to pick up the signal of truth. But the signal's still there, of course, right? But my point being is that they are in tandem. If the body starts to fail or degrades, the mind goes, right? You fine tune the mind to a certain frequency. Obviously, that can activate the body itself. So movement is a huge correspondence, right? So staying physical, focusing on your health, but also movement in the metaphysical, as in the movement of energy. Think about, I mean, look at the technology nowadays, right? 2026 is going to be another crazy ass year for AI technology, both light and dark. AI being used as a tool for harm and deception. Also, AI being used as a tool to propagate and amplify one's message, truth. So there's movement and thought, movement in false flags, psychological operations. Remember, the social engineers absolutely know the cycles that we are going through. They understand human psychology, they understand the psychology of nature, the psychology of the universe, the cosmos, cosmic psychology. They harness and utilize those attributes and elements as well, right? So everything that I'm saying that can be used as a benefit for the individual, they are going to use in the invert, because that's what the dark occultists, the social engineers do. Upside down, upside down. Fucking demogorgons. I'm telling you, right? They invert everything. Take the natural, invert it to the artificial. Right? The year of the horse for fire, they want to burn this motherfucker down. Because fire itself is the sword of truth. Fire itself is a double-edged blade. Fire unharnessed or just rampant can burn anything in its path down to the ground. But fire harnessed and controlled, respected and controlled, we can use for kinetic energy. We can use for warmth. We can use for all kinds of things, right? I mean, electricity is a form of fire as well. So we need to keep that in mind too. The inversion principle is always a factor. You can almost look at it as the apothetic method, right? Understanding what something is by coming to know what it is not. So that method right there, the apothetic inquiry, affirmation through negation, can be used on anything. It's like I tell my daughter, right? I tell my daughter, how do you find a needle in a haystack? She's like, a needle in a haystack? You can't. Sure, you can. To find a needle in the haystack, you apply the apothetic method. You burn the hay. So you burn everything, and what is left will be the needle. Same principle. Let me do a little check real quick. Intuitive power. Let me check over here on Instagram. On StreamYard, Instagram, I got to pull out a pop-up window. So anybody has, comments or questions, you could put them in as we go. I'll answer those. I always love the engagement. With nature's rhythm, much love to you, sister. I've been focusing on cleaning up, organizing, and becoming clear on all levels, physical, mental, spiritual, for what's to come in 2026. Well done. That is fantastic preparation, right? Cleaning up and organizing, that is a perfect transition from the year of the snake, of shedding the old, shedding the skin, becoming clear in your direction for 2026 to giddy up and go. That's beautiful. Hey, Amanda, how's it going? Maddie, Ivan, DuPont 93. I find it very interesting that there are only 7 ways you could ever do harm to another being. The number 7, God, it's like the universe winking back, telling you, do not do it. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so many people, great comment, right? There's so many syncretism is the language of, creation, right? Syncretism, symbolism, it's the language of the universe. And it's I love, having those aha moments when you can connect some dots. But so many people have such a big issue on objective morality. It's really morality they have such a huge visceral reaction from, right? Most of that is pre-existing religious programming. When you say the word morality, most people immediately think to religion, Christianity primarily, or Catholicism, or any of the cultural religions. They think that it like derives from religion or it derives from the Constitution. And that is completely incorrect, completely false. Morality itself is inherent in nature. Human beings can understand that initiating harm on another sentient being, right, is the violation, is wrong. It's written on the human heart because we can feel it, and it's obviously we can know it just through common sense, or what should be common sense, through our faculties of logic and reason, right? Understanding what is yours and what is mine. It's very simple, but all the preconceived information, beliefs, programming, and conditioning with morality itself is the exact reason why more people need to go public and talk about objective morality, ethics. What's the difference between ethics and morality, right? Talking about natural law, talking about these crucial topics, because that's getting down to the truth, the heart of the matter. So, yeah, 7, those 7, like the true 7 deadly sins: murder, rape, assault, trespass, theft, coercion, and deception. Those 7. If people can understand those 7 right there, then you are understanding and align with that, right? Then you understand the objective standard of behavior. It's a standard, right? So many people want to, the ego kicks in because the ego does not like objectivity. The ego's sole purpose is subjectivism, right? That is a good thing to a certain extent. It's so oh, I'm going to drink out of my coffee cup and not, give this to my dog or someone else, etc. Understanding that we are having an individuated experience. So it's both the subjective experience, the subject, the individual, and we are having that experience in an objective reality, an objective realm that we are with that which we share with other individuals, and that it has objective laws in place. It's really, it's a beautiful structure, for the purpose of learning, experiencing, growing, evolving in consciousness, learning to become a better person, to become, unified within that rhythm of life, that symbiosis on the macro level of creation. So yeah, great comment. Does morality just come down to don't steal and don't condone others to steal? Uh, y- yes. I mean, at its crude and base level, like Mark Passio says right here, don't steal and don't kneel, right? There's these little catchphrases, right? Do no harm, take no shit. These are all catchphrases for, a very simplistic expression of the non-aggression principle and the self-defense principle, right? But of course, educating people on the basics, and then we expand upon that, right? So when you say something like, don't steal and don't kneel, what is the meaning of that? This is the philosophical conversation. Will, when you say do no harm and take no shit, what do you mean? What does it mean to do no harm? It means do not initiate aggression or harm upon another sentient being. Upon another, do not initiate harm. Do not take what is not yours, right? And then what does it mean when you say take no shit? What does self-defense mean? It means that if you are aggressed upon, meaning someone transgressed, they initiated harm upon you, you have the right to defend yourself. So this is all, basic elementary understanding. I used to go out on the streets in San Francisco and Sacramento, downtown Sacramento with, my buddy John, my partner on Natural Freedom League and a few other people, Chris Jansen, Leslie Powers. That's how we kind of all met. And we used to, ask people questions. We set up a little booth. It wasn't like a protest, it was educational outreach. And, we would go through the fundamentals of objective morality, the true 7 transgressions. And the majority of people agreed with that. They agreed, do not murder, do not rape, do not steal what is not yours, etc. All of those. They totally agreed with all that. But then when you apply it to the world, when you apply it to society and what is going on in the populace, in the human condition, eyes lit up. That's where the programming and the conditioning and the visceral reaction really kicked in, because you're saying, okay, well, let's apply this objective standard to everything else, right? We've already agreed that you apply it to yourself. It's applied to me. It's applied to my neighbor and other human beings. Well, let's apply it to government. Let's apply it to police and military. Let's apply it to the pharmaceutical cartel. Then all of a sudden, people had an issue with that, right? So that is also the realm of what does it mean? This is where the educators come in and say, look, it's an objective standard. Just because someone puts on a costume and wears a shiny badge doesn't give them any authority, any legitimate superior morality to violate others just because it's on paper or because someone in a perceived false religious position, like a politician or a lieutenant, captain, sergeant, said to do something, so they're just following orders, right? You can't make a wrong a right, right? This is the type of information that we need to explain to the populace, to the majority of human beings. So yeah, great, great topics, great points. What's up, Matty G? Appreciate you. And yep, DuPont 93, because any wrongdoing is a form of theft. Absolutely. The true golden rule or the standard that we need to live by, right? Don't steal and don't kneel. Of course, don't kneel is you're not complicit in others supporting and violating other people, right? And that's kind of one of the big issues is so many people are just complicit, right? They just stay silent. Don't want to rock the boat, can't get involved. It's not directly affecting me. I'm just going to pay, my my immoral libation to, the crown, to government, to the state, and just don't bother me, don't harm me. So being complicit in immoral, evil actions and behaviors, what's that energy? What's that energy doing to the greater whole, to the pot, right? It's obviously, tally one up for the parasite psychopaths, right? You're giving them your energy. It's the abdication of responsibility. So, fantastic points. Let me see. Yeah, great comments. What's this? Oh, some spammer and Twitch. Pretending people don't even exist is harmful. Okay, maybe if you want to expand on that, do you mean pretending like there's not, social engineers that are influencing and manipulating people, pretending like, police are good people, right? When all of them are immoral because they are a police officer, because they chose to take that position of being a goon, a grunt, the strong arm for the state. So yeah, pretending like those people don't exist, absolutely, that's complicity. Yeah, it's so simple. Don't steal, don't kneel. But people still get confused. Yes, you're absolutely right. And that's the whole point why more public speakers of this information need to activate. Because look, Mark Passio, it conveys the truth his way. I convey the truth my way, right? My expression, it's all unique. We each can have different angles and different forms of expressing the truth, right? Those causal factors. So, and there's different types of people out there. So, absolutely, it's important. So, let's move on to so yeah, 2026, the year of the horse. Um, let me check my notes here. So let's talk about some practical applications for this coming year. And again, like nature's rhythm, like she talked about, she's getting in position. When you ride a horse, right? It There's about 45 minutes, could be longer, could be less, right? Of prepping the horse, right? You obviously you go to the horse, right? You just don't slap a saddle on and say, come on, giddy up, let's go, right? It's a powerful being. You say hi, you brush the horse, check its hooves, right? Then yes, then you got to put the saddle blanket on. Then you got to put the saddle, you got to put the bit in. Then you got to strap up the saddle, right? Tighten that a couple times so it's comfortable for the horse, but the saddle's not going to slide off. Meaning that there is an organizing, a setting up, there's preparation before you get up and move. So this time period right now, especially the long night, right? It's that the next couple days is shortest days of the year of daylight, longest night times. Great time to do introspection. It's a great time to journal, right? Or get a whiteboard and write down my goals mentally, emotionally, physically, activating to do, more to amplify your message, your educational material, if you're activated and currently doing that. If you're aspiring to activate and do that, right? Go through the steps. If you're hitting roadblocks, right? The horse itself, another characteristic is ruthless self-honesty, right? Be brutally honest with yourself. And this is what's good about a journal too. It's like, I mean, it's just gonna, you don't have to worry about it being public. Be brutally honest with yourself, to yourself. I always ask people when we talk about, spiritual practices, well, how often do you talk to yourself? That's a big one. So I ask you, how often do you talk to yourself alone, by yourself, right? Going through the checklist, talking about, oh man, I'm really slacking on this aspect. I got to get it together, or that, or whatever it may be. But having that relationship with the subconscious and the conscious mind. So that brutal honesty, writing down in the journal those goals and sticking to them, right? Going through the checklist on what you have to do to accomplish, to get to the activation part of creating content. Figure out the roadblocks as well. It's checking the hooves on the horse. Take out any of the mud clumps. Make sure they're clean. They're fresh to ride. So getting those roadblocks out of the way. And that is what I mean by harnessing the fire. You're building the fire pit with what? With stone. That's to contain that fire element. So we're channeling fire into truthful expression. So misalignment, talking about your goals, if you're going to journal, misalignment creates friction. Friction creates pain. And the pain either leaves you to a crossroads, right? Pain is good because it'll tell you what not to do, or you could push through it to accelerate to a different level, right? But the pain forces correction. You're either forcing through with motion on the correct path, or you're understanding, okay, that's a roadblock. That's not the direction. That's incorrect. And you're correcting it through the pain signals, metaphysically, energetically, right? So you can course correct. Of course, constantly creating friction, it's going to constantly create pain. And when pain accumulates, it becomes suffering. Choosing to not reconcile why the pain is happening is a choice. And that right there is exactly choosing suffering. And that's the definition of suffering itself. So that's kind of the natural law angle, right? We got to look at the cause and effect, getting into that alignment. So, a little bit more on the physicality or the physiology, right? The horse corresponds to obviously the legs, lungs, blood, breath, right? These are the kind of the organs or the extremities to take into consideration. On the esoteric aspect, right? When I use a term like willpower, understand, like I said, the physical and the metaphysical are one. Different sides of the same coin. They are not separate. So when I say something like will, this is not an abstract concept. It also, you feel it as well, right? So it lives in the body. The fire generates inside, internally. That can represent, the heart vortex pumping, your blood's pumping, breathing harder, the legs, the blood pumping to the lower extremities, making you run, giving you that forward motion. So on, physically, walking, hiking, martial arts, we touched on self-defense. These are things to, consider taking up or progressing with. I mean, any type of physical movement, it's actually on my list to upgrade physical movement. I mean, doing construction, I'm kind of active, but the my level of activeness or activity is kind of my par. I want to take it to the next level. So, breath work for sure. During introspection or when you're journaling, right? When you're doing your ritual, of course, having candles, a fire going. These are all symbols and objects to invoke the energetic attributes of fire, right? The hearth burning is the heart, is the fire. In my practice, actually early morning, when I get up early in the morning, it's still dark, right? It's like 5:30. It's still dark. I light a candle. I sit in that candlelight. Sometimes I read, I meditate, I breathe, think about what am I going to accomplish today. You could do that in the evening as well. But that candle, the fire, the flame has a representation, meaning we see it and we automatically, naturally associate that with something. You see a fire that has a certain type of vibratory frequency that it invokes within yourself. So these are, sun work as well, working in the sun, especially coming out of the long night, right? The long night represents death for the sun. The sun died. This is obviously where Christianity got the allegorical story of Jesus, right? It comes from the natural cycle of the sun itself, right? The sun's at its lowest point, dies, darkness, and then it is risen again. It takes that journey to rise. So that's all astrotheology. And I talked a lot about that on last year's long night as well. So, but working with the sun It's good, right? And remember, it's not, these are practices to start to do. It's not just, 100% tonight, tomorrow. Think about them. Think about what's going to fit your lifestyle, what you're comfortable with, what you can push yourself on, and integrate that into your regimen, into your ritual, into your practices, right? Because the sun slowly builds energy. The days slowly become longer. It is building power. The horse walks, trots, and then gallops, right? And then full sprint. So things to consider. A horse also is a great symbol of um, freedom. I said that earlier. Why? Right? Wild horses, baby. Wild horses. A horse is free. It roams on the earth itself, right? A wild horse does not like external control, right? Try walking up to a wild horse and, try to throw a bridle on it or a lead line, like you're just going to, take it to a stall, or it's going to kick the shit out of you. It's going to run away. It's going to charge you, etc. You build that symbiosis with the horse through your relationship with it. The horse, first and foremost, must trust you before it will let you get on its back, right? So there's that relationship of that symbiosis where the two can kind of be one and they can ride together. So the horse absolutely is that symbol of freedom. There has to be trust there. There is responsibility. So some of the darker aspects of 2026, the year of the horse, right? There's always a light and always a dark, and it's important to understand this influence is there, right? So of course we're dealing with the fire element itself. What are some of the negative attributes that we can experience from the fire element? Well, the one that comes right to the top of my head is burnout, right? We're talking about this is a very active year, a lot of intensity, a lot of motion, active participation, right? The gallop, steady pace, right? That's what a gallop is. A gallop is in between. It's not a sprint, and it's a little bit faster than a jog. A gallop has a nice rhythm. It's a nice stride for the horse. It's quick enough to be, to have, a decent pace, to gain momentum and movement, but it's not a reckless sprint where you get tired and you get burned out. So play the long game, plot and plan, schedule out those goals for the whole year, right? So you have your macro goals, your overarching goals for all of 2026. Where do you want to be? What type of person, what improvements do you want to have, that you want to have achieved the next long night, right? 2026. Write them down. You have to see it to achieve it. That's where intention comes. Intention has nothing to do with the external world. Your intention has nothing to do with anyone else. And intention is exactly what it is, what the word says it is. It's your intent. It's an internal goal. It's an internal mental marker. It's just for you. Internally, you are saying, I want to do this, right? So when someone says, oh, I didn't intend to violate you, or I didn't intend to do that, right? I mean, an accident is an accident, but something happened. There was the physical manifestation that happened. Your intention, it's obviously, it's very important to utilize within individual development and improvement. But it's, total new age bullshit that it's all about your intentions when you're talking about external factors. Your actual actions and your behaviors, your deeds themselves is what matters externally, right? So we use intention as a mental marker, as a goal. So we need to write down those goals for the whole year, right? The overarching goal. And of course, break it down month to month. I mean, I try to strike a balance between the digital, utilizing digital tools, but I also love pad and pen, right? I love the whiteboard. I have, a big ass calendar with, big boxes for the days, and I write in daily things and do's and don't do's, etc., goals, intentions, right? So there's just something about actually using a pen and writing it that I really like, the physicality of that. So, whatever works well with you. So burnout is one of the shadow side of this year, right? We don't want to ignore or misuse this attribute when it comes to the fire horse energy. Impulsiveness is another one, right? Fire itself, when think about an actual fire when it's burning, right? It can crackle and pop. You could throw something in the fire and it could light up right away and burn really fast potentially. So be careful with impulsiveness, doing something out of reaction. You want to respond, not react. So that's another dark side, shadow side. Um ego-driven rebellion. Ego-driven rebellion is something like protesting. Hundreds, thousands of people getting together, let's take to the streets, and we're going to protest the government. We don't like what you are doing. You are the epitome of an embarrassing slave. You are begging the masters to change a system that is working perfectly for them. They're not going to change that system. Plus, you are not a slave, and you don't have to beg or ask for permission to cease the transgressions of violence that the government institutions are doing to other people, right? We need to take thoughtful, correct, efficient action, education of right and wrong, so people understand that, holy shit, the system that we are using, that humanity is using, is completely generating the violence and suffering in the world. And most of us are supporting that. And, on the physical aspect of the shadow side, we want to make sure you are obviously talked about the physicality as well, right? Warfare is going strong, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, I'm in California right now. We've had almost a 3-week bio radiation fog going with heavy metals in them and everything. Fog is super heavy, stays close to the ground all day, all night for about 3 weeks straight. So Lisa, I'm sure you've been experiencing that in outside Sacramento. It's thick. But keeping the body detoxified, keeping up in order, hydration, focus on minerals, etc., electrolytes, all the basics, right? So all that good stuff. So those are some of the shadow sides of the year of the horse, the upcoming 2025. All about freedom, fire, activeness, illumination, momentum, acceleration, willpower, directed action, right? These are all key terms. The horse knows not to drink stagnant water, right? We need to be like the horse. We need to recognize and collapse stagnation. Inertia itself is the ultimate point of rest, which is ultimately, pure potential. But it is rest itself. Inertia. We need to break that inertia, break that, and generate momentum. Perfect year coming up. Absolutely. So I want to go through some of your guys' comments and questions, but I'm going to actually use the restroom real quick. But I'm going to play a short video. It's like a minute and a half for you guys on the People's Reset itself, the event coming up January 27th that Derek Bros of the Conscious Resistance made. And let's go ahead and play that. I'll play that right now, and I will be right back.
Our power is in our voice. Our power, it's in our thoughts. Our power is in our actions. Our power, it's already innate in who we are. We are the earth. We are the sky. We are the trees. We are our ancestors. We are the future generations. We are all that is.
Yeah, the People's Reset, January 28th through February 1st. Love to see you guys there. That would be great. And again, I'm looking forward to giving my presentation on natural law. So also I did a video with Derek Bros and Grant Elman, which is Presence Music. It was about 2 weeks ago. It was a micro activation, pretty much like an introduction to myself and the topic that I'm going to present. We talked about agorism and just parallel networking on this micro activation. It was about an hour and a half. It was really great to hear what, Derek's segment, and then I gave my segment, and then Grant gave his. Fantastic. It's on my website and even on my YouTube channel. You guys can check that out, willkeller.com. Very good to check out. All right, so let's see what we got. What you guys got for me? Any questions, comments? Don't steal and don't kneel to those who steal. Yeah, brother. Good seeing you, Marcus. Right on. 100%. And Patty, good seeing you. No, that's not what I meant. I'm talking on a smaller level. Okay. On a smaller level, how is that useful? What, just something for introspection. If someone, is ignoring you, are you fixating on being ignored, or you're talking about ignoring others? I'm not sure. Maybe you can be more descriptive um, on that. If that's a question, if you want me to answer it along those lines. Okay, Rip, what's up? All right, so let's move on. Let me check some of my notes. So let me know what are some of your guys' goals? Do you guys have any goals for 2026? Where do you think the year is heading for humanity? There's been a lot of crazy events that have happened. So, where do you foresee the direction heading? I obviously think, AI is going to be a huge factor in that. But yeah, let me know what you guys, some intentions, some goals for that you guys are thinking about, maybe with the information that I presented on, the year of the horse and the fire element and attributes in there. Throw them in the comments. I'm curious. I wanted to talk about. Oh, that was one thing I didn't say on the notes. I've come to understand that, and this is like psychologically profiling, you could say, that there are two broad categories of people, right? And I mean, this is something I've been pondering, but and there are some Carl Jung aspects to this that he's kind of touched on. There's two broad categories that people can be placed in. Those that consume experiences and those that generate experiences. Now, what do I mean by that? So, those that consume experiences, you could look at this as passive and active as well. The people that are just taking in information all the time, nonstop, just more information that I need to take in. I need to learn more about this topic, this new event, etc. Right? Consuming experiences, even in their personal life as well. Right? They kind of take life as it comes, as it's dished out onto them. Right? Now, there's obviously a balance. I mean, there's some pros and to that, but obviously being fully passive is not a healthy state to be in, because you're not fully activated in being an active participant in manifestation, in the shared reality that we are experiencing, and especially towards the human condition, doing something constructive, positive towards a healthy outcome. So a lot of people that have victim mentality, that are constantly negative, focused on, what has been done to them, are consumers of experiences. Right? Now, the pro to that, it's it's like a 90-10. The 10 of being, consuming experiences. Well, I would say it's more than 10, right? Because you could say observation is extremely important. Observing people, observing events, observing the state of the world, right? To get your finger on the pulse. That's very, very important. And you are consuming experiences in that kind of, small attribute. But that's not what I mean by just a consumer of experience. People are just literally not an active participant in life. The generators of experience, there's obviously a light and dark to that as well, right? These are people that use their will and care to activate and to make stuff happen, to participate. Whether they get what they want or they don't, they are participating. They are doing some form of behavior or action to a goal. And that's great. That's where we want people to be, in a balanced state. Now, what happens when you are overactive? Overactive, you get into kind of an unhealthy state where you are aggressive and controlling, because now you're trying to curtail or control all situations, right? And typically people that are like that are very, the ego is in the driver's seat, and that could be very egoic and just controlling in itself. So there's the balance of the higher self and the ego, which the higher self is obviously just is beingness, being in the experience, right? Which you can see as the taking in, consuming, the intake. And the ego is obviously very active and participating in the subjective, right? So there's a unification that can happen even within um, those two, uh, attributes. Okay, Patty, for sure. Um, I'm not sure. Um, okay, yeah, I don't. If you have a question, you can pose a question and I can answer it, but I'm not sure what you're referring to. Journey of a Man, what's up, Scott, brother? Good seeing you. Yes, alignment versus misalignment, and alignment is just that, a line meant. So let's apply the philosophical mindset to that. And you ask yourself, what does that mean? Right? What does alignment gets used a lot, right? Especially in new age circles. In alignment, in alignment. Well, what does it mean? Let's break the word down. Alignment. Okay? We know ment, Latin, mens, mentes, it means mind. Right? So we know we're talking about mentation, the mental realm. Of course, it's the first natural law principle. The all is mind. It always starts in your mind. So, mentation, but what does alignment mean? Align is referring to a consistent, non variation, right? Consistent. What is 100% perfect, non variation? That's obviously creation itself. It is truth. Truth itself, you could say, is the absolute alignment. So trying to alignment, can someone be in fully alignment? No, absolutely not. Not in this experience, right? There is no perfection in this experience. Maybe on a higher plane, you're closer to to creation, absolutely. But still, we could strive for what is true and what is right. So let me see if I can pull up the slide that I have expressing that. I don't want to dig for it and waste time. So yes, alignment. To be in alignment means you are aligning your mind to something, right? Symbolically, the line would mean truth in this reality. That's what that would mean, right? Like a dot represents source. Truth is that which has manifested and is manifesting, right? This is a creating experience, a creating universe. This is what something that kind of drives me crazy. Another new age bullshit. Time doesn't matter. Time is an illusion, man. Total, utter bullshit. Absolutely bullshit. You could talk about, the Gregorian calendar, you could talk about the clock, etc. Even though it is the clock itself, it's based upon elements of the natural world and the cycle, right? Even though we should be using a 24-hour system, nature has its own scale of time. Time absolutely exists. It is important. Whenever you have mass and magnitude, you have motion. The time is an illusion is another new age bullshit misdirection. It's a stand down concept. It's to get you to not focus on what you are doing and a goal to go somewhere, to get somewhere, right? So again, it's rooted in solipsism. Oh, Vinny Eastwood. What's up, brother? Much love. Can you tell us about the New Age and their approach to disarmament? Yeah. Oh, man. Very relevant question, my brother Vinny. Everybody check out VinnyEastwood.com. Great content. Yeah. So this is obviously a front row topic, right? Especially in Australia, New Zealand. It is here in America as well, with Brown University shooting, in the genocide in Gaza, right? Self-defense is one of the cornerstones of freedom. Self-defense protects the non-aggression. You can't have one without the other. So understanding the nap, like the libertarians, they like just focus on the nap and they rarely talk about self-defense in some cases, right? They go hand in hand. They have to be spoke upon within the same breath. It's mother and father. It's non-aggression and self-defense. Now, of course, the New Age movement is very much, it's a stand down cult. They do not understand the self-defense principle. They are in an imbalance of the concept of oneness, which is kind of draped in solipsism as well, because it's very relativistic. But the New Age variant is, well, first of all, a lot of New Age individuals are statists as well, right? They lean left, they're liberals as well. So some of the comments that I get from, spiritual people that mostly lean left are just like, well, why does anybody need an AK? Why does anyone need an assault rifle? They are completely missing the fact that there is a government or there is organized crime calling themselves government that are initiating these events, that's initiating the state of slavery, the condition of slavery, right? They are completely oblivious to that, which is a huge factor. Huge factor. The government has assault rifles. I'm keeping my assault rifle, right? There's no higher form of respect than to protect freedom, to protect one's family, especially as a man. If you could give one attribute to a man, to the masculine, if that is protection, absolutely, 100%. Then providing. But protection is absolutely number one. And with the feminine dynamic, it is nurturing, care. Because from that nurturing comes life, obviously, the birth of a child, right? A man protects what is most precious to him, and that is absolutely his family. Absolutely his family. Of course, have to be educated in what self-defense is. Self-defense is not granted. It's not through legislation. It is ingrained in the fabric of reality and nature. Now, a lot of countries like, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, even in the US, right? I mean, that is one of the ultimate goals. Like, that is a huge checkpoint they need to get. They need to disarm the globe. And they're going to do that, obviously, local. It's from the inside out, right? Where does it start first? In the mind of individuals. And how do they do that? Public education. The school system is where it's derived from. All of the programming and conditioning, its seed derives from public education, right? Because it's all about program the youth, distract the old. Rinse and repeat through the generations. Keep programming the youth and distract the older generations. You distract the older generations so they don't come into this critical knowledge of objective morality and natural law, and they go, "Oh fuck, I'm sacrificing my child to the parasite psychopaths. You're giving your child in the most impressionable, the most important state, the formative state, straight to the government so they can input their information, their programming, their conditioning in. And what do you think the output is going to be? Very much in their favor, right? So a lot of young kids, the younger generations, even in America, they're very much anti-gun. And it's just mind-boggling to see these shootings happen, right? And first of all, a study came out. I should try to pull it up. I should have had it up. This was an improv live show, right? You could look it up. Look up the study that was done recently that the alphabet agencies, the FBI and the CIA, I forget one of the main names for this study. The study showed that the majority of crime was stopped by people with guns. It might have been mass shootings or events that had to do with shootings in public. They were stopped because an individual at the scene had a gun and took out that individual. Home invasion, right? A large percentage of home invasion. It's not even reported that the person had a weapon at the house and stopped the perpetrator, stopped the invader, right? They do that to skew the perception that, gun violence is out of control because of guns. And they fail to inform, state, or release stories and events where obviously educated people and capable people activated that self-defense principle, right? Um, with nature's rhythm. Shout out to the ST Academy crew. She's out there in Australia. She did a fantastic post earlier today. Imagine if every one of those people that were there were packing, right? Instead of all the people that are filming the event, imagine if those people had guns instead. Obviously, with the self-defense principle, education comes, right? It's not just get a gun and have a gun. It's understanding how to use a gun, staying the upkeep, being a marksman, training with that gun, respecting that gun. What's the esoteric symbolism with that? With the masculine principle, men and guns, right? What's that one thing? Respect. One thing that a man just loves, right? That one thing that we really, that feeds our soul, and that's respect in a relationship, right? Or respect in general. If you're going to own a gun, you need to respect the self-defense principle and educate yourself on how to use it, how to take care of it, the maintenance. Make sure you have a backup. You're fully equipped with ammunition. You go to the range and you war game mentally to put yourself, to imagine yourself in certain high adrenaline, high intense scenarios. Now, the Bondi Beach event, I found it very interesting that the guy in the white shirt ran up to one of the guys, that had the gun and, shook him, and the guy dropped the gun, which the other guy picked up and pointed it at him, but he let the guy run away. See, we need to understand when the initiation of violence has taken place, the initiator has relinquished, sacrificed his right to be unscathed. When you start violence upon someone, when you violate them, you 100% do not have the right to remain unharmed. So that guy with the gun should have lit him up. He's out, the guy's shooting individuals. At least, I mean, if he was educated, he would have took out his kneecaps, put one in the shoulder, put him down. He let the guy just walk off, right? So, I haven't, again, I don't go too deep into the rabbit holes of certain events. That's just a video that I saw, but touching on the self-defense principle. Now, here's something that a lot of people have trouble with today. It's like, we are being violated. We are in a state of war. What is the limits of the self-defense principle in the state of slavery? Of course, discernment and, discernment and judgment really needs to come into play, because in truth, in reality, when you are being violated, whether that's, a police officer saying, you're not allowed to wear your seatbelt, or you don't have a piece of paper saying that you are permitted to drive. I'm going to take you to jail. I'm going to physically violate you. You didn't pay your taxes. I'm going to break down your door and haul you off to jail. That is the initiation of violence right there. In truth, in reality, you absolutely have the right to defend yourself. Now, would that be wise in a state, in a condition of slavery? Individual situations, you're going to have to make that call. I'm not advocating for that kind of stuff. What I advocate is education. Why we still, at least in America, we're still able to have guns. I don't do paperwork. I'll just say that. But I'm good. I got mine. They obviously they're making it. They're tightening the clamp on that here in the States with the whole with the biometrics, the digital ID, even buying ammunition, you're going to need, digital ID, etc., all that shit. It's the tiptoe march. We are already enslaved, people. It has already happened, past tense. It's been happening for hundreds and hundreds, thousands of years. What we are experiencing now is the transitional period of the next phase of slavery. The technocratic, transhumanistic grip tightening up, right? Because they ultimately want it to go from covert to full-on overt. I mean, shackle and chains, mindless, just feeding off our energy, stuck in a pod, some shit like that, right? Use your imagination, watch a sci-fi. That's the ultimate long-term goal. But until then, they are doing it incrementally. So why we still have, at least here in America, weapons, right? We need to try to educate people into their rights, truly, not through man-made systems. This is my big beef with, the whole common law, the contractual based pathway. I get it. I've been to court a bunch of times myself. Yes, you're going to have to go to court. You do the best that you can within their system. But keep in mind, it's a relativistic system. They do whatever they want. The religion is moral relativism, folks. You could go in there and have fantastic documentation, say all the right things, stand in whatever, and they'll just take you to jail. They'll lock you up like an animal, right? That's because at its core, it is moral relativism. It's built on a system by people, by individuals that believe they are God and they can do whatever they want. Now, in certain countries, at some point, kinetic force will have to be initiated. At some point. Certain countries, that might not be feasible, or it might be, I don't know. That's for, later. That's just the reality of it. Even here in America, right? Even if we are educating, let's war game here for a minute, right? If we are educating people on objective morality, so they know their rights, they know the difference between right and wrong, they know how freedom generates, the condition of freedom generates in society, and we have public educators, and we could see that the aggregate consciousness of human beings is on the right path, right? People are, police and military are quitting their cult. The government institutions are failing because people are leaving them, public schooling, the allopathic system, etc. Parallel systems based in liberty and morality are popping up. They're not just going to say, well, they're not just going to sit back and do nothing. They are going to initiate hardcore kinetic interference as like a last ditch resort. So regardless, the sacred masculine self-defense principle needs to be respected, honored, and activated at all times, even in day-to-day life. You never know when some asshole is going to try to, rob you, start something. Like, you have to know that this is an inherent natural component to life itself. As a father of a young lady, right? It's 12 and a half. It's my job as a father to educate her on self-defense, what she can do. Having things like situational awareness, which is very, very low nowadays with children, especially children that are, fucking mind virus sucked to the tablets. They don't understand situational awareness, correlative thinking, or critical thinking. These three categories are really important. And with my daughter, I practice this kind of stuff when we go out into public, when we go into a grocery store. My daughter and I will kind of play, situational awareness. There's practices you can do by focusing on your peripheral, where you're noticing things happening. So you're not just automatically just walking through, the public or walking through life mindless of the little red flags or the alerts that are going on around you. It's connecting the dots, right? It's pattern recognition is what it is. So self-defense, and getting back to Vinny's original question, about the new age, absolutely, the self-defense principle is pretty much non-existent. It's all love and light. It's all love and light, man. It's not all love and light. It's truth, love, and freedom, brothers and sisters. And that includes harming none and fucking taking no shit on the others that initiate harm. That's what it's about. So, and it's just, even just nature, creation is so, the beautiful silver lining of how our existence, it encodes that in the source code of reality, that you have masculine and feminine, male, female. They unite, create life, right? If non-aggression principle is feminine and masculine is self-defense, when they are unified, what do they create? Self-ownership. An individual that understands the non-aggression and the self-defense principle, right? The masculine and feminine aspects, in unity consciousness. It's an individual that knows the difference between right and wrong, understands its responsibility, has accountability for oneself, has moral agency, isn't living in fear over the external world, right? Shit's fucked up in the world, right? The point, this is another reason why the social engineers, their one great work is influencing people, educating people on what? On all the erroneous, misdirected mind traps so people don't come across this type of information, right? But that is to keep people in a state of fear. When you have self ownership, you are owning yourself, you are accountable for yourself. You understand we are living in slavery and I'm going to fucking act accordingly anyways. Courage in spite of fear. Fear can be present, but you act correctly, morally, in spite of that fear. That's what real courage is. So, these are a lot of the core topics I talk about in my work too, in my presentations. Let me go through. I had another topic that I wanted to talk about. Human beings, that we are a integrative being. And what I mean, well, first let me check the comments because this is about to get really esoteric, but also practical. I mean, that's what simplify the profound. My motto, that this is what I love to do. Take the occult sciences, the occult art and sciences, and bring them to the modern age through elegance and simplicity and practicality. That's what I like to do. Right. So I was about to get into another topic that, but before I want to check some of the comments. Okay. Nick, my brother, what's up, man? Just got here. Hi, everyone. Solstice. Excellent, brother. Good seeing you. The work that you're doing. Hey, man, I'll just say it live right here on the air too. I know you sent me a message on Telegram. I've been super busy and messages get buried, but you're activated, brother, and you're making some really good content, and I just love seeing that shit. So, huge respect and love to you, man. And I'll see you in the How to Become the True Media seminar coming up 2026. So let's talk. I'll message you on Telegram and we'll talk, and we'll set up a live discussion and bounce some stuff on you. I really like where you're going with the natural lore, right? Natural law, natural lore. And even the pronunciation, if someone's from like Australia or New Zealand, it almost sounds the same, right? You say natural law, natural law. So you get what I mean. But yeah, let's have a discussion, man, on that for sure. And then what time is it where you're at? It is 10:50 p.m. Good to see you, Gwen. I actually intentionally started this live show later because I have a pretty decent subscriber base, and it's been increasing recently in Australia and New Zealand. And a lot of that I thank to, the STE Academy, community. I love that community. But it's been growing recently. So the time difference, it's hard to pick a time. I know if I do it in the evening, I believe it's like later morning or early afternoon on that side of the planet. So let me know where you're from. I'm always curious. But yeah, it's pretty late here. I'm in Pacific time, California. So 5:50 p.m. That's right. Southern Hemisphere. Summer solstice vibe. That's right, brother. On the completely opposite spectrum. I love it. Winter solstice, summer solstice. It's fantastic because it does a figure 8. It does a beautiful figure 8 astrologically. People talk about defending freedom What's up, Daryl? People talk about defending freedom, but nobody is doing it, and it should have been done long before. Okay, well, maybe you can specify, right? Would you call publicly educating people on right and wrong? Would you consider that an act of defending freedom, or are you talking about physically, kinetically standing up? And yes, that should have done way long ago. Way long ago. I look at something like the founding fathers as they were a potential stepping stone in the pathway of evolutionary consciousness. It's like good idea for that time period, and it gave a very small opening chance, and of course the social engineers just slid right in and shut that shit down, and they just set up shop, right? Same with the Zionists during that time. So it was like opportunity lost. But then even after that, there were many opportunities where it should have went kinetic. Can it go now? Well, yeah, it can, but how many people you think are actually going to physically fight and be correct? Sure, there are people that are actually that will, kinetically take up arms and fight the opposite political party, right? There's factions that will war, no problem. But those people are incorrect, right? They're coming from a political dynamic. They are part of the problem. So people that understand natural law, the difference between right and wrong and objective morality, those people taking up arms, it'd be a bloodbath. We have the tool sets right now. How does anyone learn anything? They take in information. This is why it's so important for as many people as possible to go public. First and foremost, take in the correct information, which is mean you yourself understand objective morality, natural law, laws of manifestation. Understand that, and then utilize the tools of modern technology to publicly educate the illiterate masses of people nowadays, so they can wake up. That's what it truly means to wake up. They wake up to understand that the belief in human authority is a complete mind virus. And not only is it a mind virus and a religion, it is the system that is generating violence and suffering, right? From individuals participating and supporting and condoning that. So your statement is, add more to that, brother. Add some more to that for sure. But yeah, it physically taking up arms should have been done long ago. And that time will come. As I was talking about self-defense, there will be another time for that, guaranteed. Just like I was saying, the social engineers are not going to just let it go. They claim us as their property. So they will put up a fight. But we need numbers. This is the whole point, right? You don't physically fight back if the odds are completely against you. This is Viking Axiom 101. Only fight when the odds are in your favor. What I mean by that is that generating the condition of society, how as the collective species, as the aggregate, how we generate is based on two things. It's qualitative and quantitative. Qualitative means quality. So it's the quality of the individual, meaning does the individual understand the true difference between right and wrong? Do they understand natural law? And are they trying to align their actions to the best of their ability? Right? That's quality. Then you have quantitative, which is quantity, which is numbers. Whatever ideology is in the majority is what will have the biggest influence in the generation of the human condition. And right now, that is ignorance and statism, people believing in that we need a control system called government. Time for midnight chow. Yeah, brother, right on. Yeah, it's oh, I told myself I would do 2 hours, so I'm over 2 hours, 2.5. Let me run through some of these comments. What's up, Steve Son, Canada? Appreciate you. Good seeing you. Arkbaz. Cool. Let me see. I'm gonna start winding it down. I do want to talk about. I'm gonna do another live show. Let's see. In the next few days, stay tuned, because I want to do one before New Year's Day, and I want to talk again about how to become the true media. But we'll end on what Daryl's saying here, and then I'll wrap it up. I have been speaking out, educating for about 12 years, and I would say educating is pointing out why people should be physically defending freedom, even if that is just being non-compliant. Okay, that's great, man. That's great that you are educating people. And you've been doing that for 12 years. So yes, I mean, you are doing that. That's awesome. Are you pushing yourself to develop your method and the form of education and expression to maximize your efficiency and potency? Those are always, common goals that a public educator can always be thinking about, right? Like I'm always thinking about ways I can articulate, explain, present this information, have better content, develop a series, simplify the message. But we need people talking about those core factors, right? Like you said, pointing out why people should be physically defending freedom, explaining the why, the causal factors, and understanding that we need more public educators. So why we can, before the fucking interwebs shut down, or we understand that freedom of speech or censorship is in a struggle. It's in a tug of war right now. I mean, they are regulating speech in some countries like the UK. It's a wrap. They have it on lockdown. They're hauling people away, putting them in cages for shit that they're posting, right? Once you silence the voice, the chains and the shackles come shortly after that. So yes, more people going public and educating so they can do what they can take in objective morality and they can align in their daily lives. That means stop pulling out of these institutions, pull your kids out of public school. Right? Stop participating in these systems as much as, to your ability. Exercise our right, freedom, practice the arts of self-defense, connect with the creator, practice the art of survival, etc. Yeah, man, that's great, man. I'm familiar with you, brother, for sure. I've seen your posts. I'm absolutely familiar with you. That's great, man. Keep up the good work. I just think I think so many people are in that broad category that I talked about of consuming experiences, right? So many people just sitting back and just watching. It's entertainment. The next event, Charlie Kirk. Let's see what Candace Owens is going to say next. It's entertainment for a lot of people. They just sit back and they just take these current events, and it's very passive. And with 2026 coming up, we're leaving 2025, shedding the skin of the snake. We're entering the year of the horse. Ignition. Fire. It's active. The energy for that year is active, 100%. The theme of that year is activation. The social engineers know this, and they're going to utilize that. What do you think they're going to utilize that for? If I had to guess and go off of just patterns, right? Patterns speak volumes. They're going to amp up the false flags. They're going to amp up the distractions, right? They are going to activate in their sick, psychotic way. They're full steam ahead, and we need to be that, but in for that flame of truth, morality, what is right, justice, love, and freedom, because they're in it for deception, violence, duress, coercion, enslavement. That's their whole goal. That's their whole MO. They got their little checklist and their intentions all laid out for the whole 2026 and many years after that, right? So this is the time. In this long night, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, in this long night and the few days left of this cycle, right? The winter solstice, yeah, or summer solstice if you're in the southern hemisphere. Think about your intentions, your goals, to become a better person, to get on the digital battlefield of education, the physical battlefield of protecting your health, protecting your family, preparedness. All of these are extremely important, right? Think about that. Plot and plan that out. Now, going along with that, as a small-time influencer, right? I don't have sponsors. I don't want that kind of shit, right? I'm doing this to connect with individuals, to inspire individuals to learn about this type of information, and then start the journey of activating and becoming a public educator themselves, right? That's my goal. That's why I do that. So I want to align with ethical practices as well. So I want to talk about a couple things. I'm self-sponsored, you could say. And since, I brought it up to Nick in the chat about how to become the True Media, Mark Passio is hosting his 6th annual How to Become the True Media class that starts, I believe it's January 5th. Enrollment is open. There is space still available as of now. This is an extensive 23-week online technology skill sharing seminar. Okay, again, hosted by Mark Passio from What on Earth is Happening. I'm grateful to be a moderator, to be, in there assisting and helping Mark, and also being a student from, Mark and what he teaches, and also learning from the participants as well, right? There's so many it's so dope to connect with other people that they're there for one reason, and that reason is to learn, to get technical, to have that technological literacy, to become a public educator on this information, to take action. That's why they are there, and they're learning the skill sets, right? And the tool sets. And I learn stuff from them all the time. So it's one night a week. It's 3 hours of official class. There's an hour pre-chat. There's an hour after chat with Mark. And then it's opened up to the community just for a free discussion for an additional like 3 hours. So you're getting 6 or 7 hours every week. Fantastic value. Highly recommend people can check that out. Again, you go to howtobecomethetruemedia.com. Again, enrollment ends December 31st at January 1st, right at midnight. January 1st. That's where Mark cuts it off. So there's still spots. Go ahead, go to howtobecomethetruemedia.com. Check it out. You can see the syllabus and all that good stuff. So that's a plug for Mark. I hope to see you guys in there. I'm looking forward to it. And oops, I glitched. What did I do with my... Let me play this little plug for you guys real quick that I made for How to Become the True Media, to give you kind of like an aspect of what it's about. What did I do with it? Interesting. I rearranged my studio and okay. Moving on. So we talked about the fire element and we talked about physicality, right? So one thing that I do that I'm very proud of, I created a business. One of my passions, besides the occult, art, and sciences, and is an esoteric mystery, traditions, etc., is molecular hydrogen. I was introduced to molecular hydrogen 14 and a half years ago for an autoimmune issue that I was struggling with at the time. And I was so grateful to come across hydrogen water at that time. And I got involved then, and I kept following the research and, went through different products during that time, and then kind of got into natural law and esoteric studies, still utilizing hydrogen therapy, but went a different direction. And then just recently, just about, about a year and a half ago, my good friend Logan Hart and I came together. He also was very familiar with hydrogen therapy, and we started talking. And as we're seeing hydrogen therapy finally start to come to the mainstream, right? Because when I first discovered it, it was almost an alternative therapy that was being censored. Like the allopathic and the pharmaceutical industries were censoring that type of information because it was having such profound healing benefits. But now that fast forward, 14 years, the past year and a half, 2 years, it's absolutely at the forefront. Hydrogen technology in general is being utilized. So it's gaining recognition. So we created Ostara Hydrogen Therapy. Okay, check this out. In a world of synthetic solutions, hydrogen is the element of truth for health and wellness. Hydrogen is the essence of life, the first, smallest, and most abundant element of the universe. This powerful tiny molecule can calm inflammation, neutralize oxidative stress, enhance cellular energy, and protect your body at the deepest level. Backed by over 3,000 studies benefiting every organ of the body, molecular hydrogen therapy is simple, natural, and safe, helping you to think clearer, heal faster, and feel more alive every day. At Ostara, our mission is clear: to bring awareness, access, and activation to the public for this revolutionary therapy. Through education, community, and cutting-edge solutions, we empower you to take control of your health and unlock your full potential of longevity and well-being. Discover the future of wellness, rooted in both nature and science. Start today with our free Hydrogen Essentials Kit, including a video and ebook that will reveal everything you need to know. Visit ostarahydrogen.com. Yeah. Little shameless plug. That's my business. I'm very proud of it. Logan and I, we decided to create a business that was rooted in integrity as our first principles, obviously truth, integrity, and helping people. This is the benefit of hydrogen therapy. It's fantastic. And I'll do a little shameless plug on what it is, and also encourage the viewers to go check it out, because hydrogen itself is the most abundant element in the universe. Okay, comprising about 95% of the universe. It's in all life. It's also the smallest molecule, the smallest element, right? So hydrogen itself, it can be used, and there's a few different forms of hydrogen. I am talking about molecular hydrogen, which is two hydrogen atoms bonded together in a stable bond. So it's stable. Now, the benefit of utilizing molecular hydrogen is that it's so small, it can penetrate every layer of the body. So it can cross the blood-brain barrier. It can go through the lungs, pass through the blood, and especially the nucleus of cells, but it can get to the mitochondria. And this is where it works its magic. It actually is a cell signaling molecule, because it can communicate with the mitochondria to regulate inflammation at that cell level, at the mitochondria level. So it can regulate, it can turn off the genetic expression of that causes inflammation. It can activate ATP, which is cellular energy. It can initiate apoptosis, which is cellular death for those old, decrepit, dying cells that you want to die and you want to be removed. It does so many things. It's detoxification. It's considered a selective antioxidant because it's not really considered a traditional antioxidant. It's selective because it goes into the body and it neutralizes only the most harmful free radicals in the body, which is the hydroxyl radicals, right? This is an oxygen species that does incredible damage to the body. It is what creates oxidative stress and inflammation, right? So it binds to that free radical, and it neutralizes it, turning it into water. Remember, molecular hydrogen is H2. Hydroxyl radical is O, oxygen. Put them together, it turns into H2O. One of the most common responses, well, Will, I drink water. It has H2O. That's not what I'm talking about. Water is a locked molecule, right? The hydrogen and the oxygen are bonded together. We can use a process of advanced proton exchange membrane, which is an advanced electricity through water that breaks that bond, and it splits the elements together. Oh, looks like I lost Instagram because it has a time limit. Deuces. So it splits that bond. So now it separates the hydrogen and the oxygen. Now, a lot of people, oops, okay, get that off the screen. So this has incredible benefits for the body, especially when it comes to detoxifying, when you're talking about energy, clarity, lowering inflammation, um, EMF radiation, EMF frequencies, the radiation, the harmful effects, right? The hydrogen water was used to combat radiation poisoning. So this therapy or molecular hydrogen has been used for a very long time. Very long time. It's been used for deep sea diving to combat the bends, etc. So we created Ostara Hydrogen Therapy. You go to the website. We created a Hydrogen Essentials Kit. It's got a webinar. It's got an ebook that we made to try to simplify the science, give you all the basics to see if it's something you are interested. If you're not, that's fine. We offer awareness, education. This is an educational platform because integrity and truth is important. We want to educate the public on what molecular hydrogen therapy really is and what the science really says and where it is at currently, right? There are a lot of people that make certain claims. There are certain, manufacturers and certain types that try to associate with hydrogen water, like alkaline water, which is, that has been completely debunked, etc. Education always starts with education. So Ostara Hydrogen Therapy, we created a podcast, Healing with Hydrogen. Check that out. And then, of course, we aligned ourselves with some of the best manufacturers to make the safest, the most effective, and the easiest to use modalities, pathways to get molecular hydrogen. The three main ways to get molecular hydrogen therapy is the first and the most potent and the strongest and recommended, because you want to get to a therapeutic dose, is inhalation. Hydrogen is a gas, so you can breathe it. You could see it. This machine right there, that's our big one. That's a 2-in-1. It makes water and gas. So when I'm working on the computer or I'm watching a movie, I usually have the cannula on and I'm breathing molecular hydrogen gas. Fantastic. It also makes water. It has a 1.5 liter. So I give it to my dogs. I give it to my daughter. I fill up my jug. Makes hydrogen water, which is almost like a soda stream. It infuses the hydrogen gas into the water, right? They don't combine with the H2O. It's separate. It's just hydrogen gas in water. Hydrogen water is extremely popular, primarily from these. They're trending right now because everybody's seen the hydrogen water bottles. Oh, we've seen those. We made sure we had a high pressurized water bottle. This is an easy entry level, but I gotta be honest because integrity is first. And there's a lot of marketing BS around in this industry currency, right? Currently, a lot of opportunists. And my love for molecular hydrogen therapy always is stemmed from the science of it, right? And what it is. We have a manufacturer that makes fantastic quality bottle. There's a lot of bullshit ones out there that are actually even considered unsafe, where you are taking, the PFAS chemicals, you have leaching, etc. Ours are all third-party tested for all that stuff. So it makes high efficiency, 5 milligrams of molecular hydrogen per liter. So you drink, 3 of these a day and you're at a great dose of hydrogen. But this is where the truth comes in, that all the water bottle people don't want to say. Hydrogen water is at such a low level compared to inhalation. It's mind-blowing. This bottle compared to that inhalation machine or the black one, this is a mid-level flagship. The white one's our flagship. This is our mid-level, our entry inhalation, and this is just the entry level. And it's great. You get good dose. It's portable, right? It's a good unit, and it's just at a low entry of resources. But our bottle, 5 milligrams of hydrogen, the white machine is 600 times more potent. Hydrogen therapy, the big secret is you want to get to a high dose. Molecular hydrogen is completely non-toxic, and it has 0 cytotoxic effects, meaning there is no saturation limit. You could take it in all day and there's no negative side effects. That's very rare. Even water has a saturation limit, meaning you could drink too much of it and die, right? Vitamin C has a saturation limit. Oxygen has a saturation limit. Yes, you can have too much oxygen in your system, right? So many of these things are, but molecular hydrogen, because it's so small and it goes into the body, all over the body, it does what your body needs it to do. It's really utilizing your body's natural ability to heal itself, giving it a boost, and then it goes out. You breathe it out. It goes out of the pores. I mean, we're talking about the smallest element, the smallest molecule in the universe. It's fantastic. I could talk. Look, I already talked like an extra 30 minutes about molecular hydrogen. I love it. Check it out. In a day and age where biologically we are under attack, you need to have your health in order. Make sure you're eating clean foods. You're getting your mineral contents, right? You want clean water. You're getting great breath, clean air. Molecular hydrogen is an optimal addition, and it's easy to use. I mean, you're drinking water today every day anyways, and it's very easy to breathe and chillax and take in the incredible benefits of molecular hydrogen. If you're interested, just go to the website, check out the hydrogen kit, or go to Healing with Hydrogen on YouTube. You can get there. Everywhere is all my platforms, even the Funnel Conference and the People's Reset. You can go to willkeller.com. Yep, Healing with Hydrogen on YouTube. We did an educational podcast. And let me check the comments. Had a good amount of people in here, pretty consistent all the way through, and I love it. I love I appreciate the time and the attention. I hope you found value in this impromptu rant talking about the upcoming year. And yeah, again, go to willkeller.com to get to all my previous work, my presentations, my interviews, and stay in contact. Reach out if you have any questions. Thanks for joining, everyone. Appreciate it. And stay vigilant. Stay vigilant in this time, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate you. Have a great evening.
This play has all been cast. Do not recognize them. Do not not know the past. Wasn't so long ago, a different tale was told. The ancient script has been rewritten, no products are to be sold. Yeah, they got you where they want you. Yeah, they put a spell on you. They're scared by these illusions, this new spooky ad campaign. Everywhere you turn, it's always pounding in your brain. Do not go to beaches, do not breathe the ocean air. Yeah, they stole $6 trillion just to show how much they cares. Yeah, they got you where they want you. Yeah, they put a spell on you. Yeah, they got you where they want you. We're flipping through all them channels, programming mind control. Try to convince the world that the humans got no souls. Yeah, they're only flesh and blood. Yeah, they're only dirt and mud. Our lies conspire to douse the fire, inspire with the breath of life. Yeah, they got you where they want you. Yeah, they put a spell on you. More lockstep marching doctors with their dangling stethoscopes. Their science they claim the final solution, the only human hope. Or keep you from your neighbors, all muzzled up in the mask. Yeah, you take them off 'cause you got no cough, but you don't know who to ask. Yeah, they got you where they want you. Yeah, they put a spell on you. Yeah, they got you where they want you. Yeah, they put a spell on you. Oh, one thing is crystal clear. Can I live in fear? 'Cause if we do, the human spirit will surely disappear.